Hi, everyone. Welcome to Chaos Controlled, 3 steps to picking and setting up your project management software for more efficiency and more ease in your business than ever before. All right. I'm going to share my 3 step framework with you to select the perfect project management tool for your business and how to really get set up so that you're going to use it with ease. All right. So I hope that you have a pen and paper handy, and before we jump in, I do want to issue a little bit of a disclaimer. All right. So if you came here today or you are looking at this training event because you just want to know the top 3 best tools that you should go off and use right now and how to set it up from the beginning to the very end, then you're going to be a little bit surprised by the content that I'm going to share today, right? Because my framework really starts from a process first approach. This is about selecting the right tool for you based on the process that you already have, whether you believe it or not. All right. So there's not a whole lot of recommendations here. This is really about being able to set up and pick the perfect tool for you. It doesn't really matter what the tool is, and I'll dive into exactly why in just a few minutes. All right. So let's jump in. So, why are you here today, right? I'm willing to bet that you clicked on this video because you want something different for your business. You might want more focus in your day. You might want more organization in your business. You might want more support from your team. You might want to be able to delegate more to your team, or maybe you want more certainty that work is actually getting done, or maybe you just want more control overall in your business. Whatever your reasons for signing up for today's event or watching today's video, you are not alone. All right. More organization, more support, more certainty, and more clarity in your business is 100% possible when you pick the right tools and set them up in the right way. Because honestly, these are all the things that my clients want when they come to me and we start working together. They want more security in their business. They want certainty that work is actually being done. They want clarity and laser focus on the tasks that are actually going to be able to move the needle in their business. If that's what you want as well, then you are in the right place, because I'm going to share my 3 step framework for setting up and selecting the perfect project management tool for you, the project management tool that you'll be able to use with ease without changing the way that you work, without totally overhauling the tools that you're using in your business already. Okay, all right. So this is really about picking the perfect project management tool for you and setting it up in a way that is really aligned with how you're already doing work. All right. So with that, let's actually talk a little bit about project management. But before I get into the content, I do want to share a little bit about myself, right? Before we get into the actual selection process and the evaluation process, let's talk a little bit about me. If you've never met me before or you've never been to one of my live events, hello. I am Diane Lam, and I am the founder and CEO of Diane Lam Co. And the secret sauce to setting up systems and scaling your business with ease really starts with me. All right. I know that is a big statement and a pretty big flex, but I've been launching and managing businesses for my entire 14-year career. I've done everything from launching 5 multi-million-dollar hedge funds to managing multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses and building out departments for large corporations. All right. So usually I was doing a few of these things at one time. It was never just one fund, one business that I was managing, or one major initiative. It was a few at the same time. So really having strong systems, strong operations, strong project management was the only way that I could juggle all of these initiatives at the same time. All right. So I have been around that operations block a time or two. I've been around the systems and the project management block a time or two. And now I focus on building self-sustaining empires for the ambitious and bold 6 figure service providers who choose to have them. I do this with my custom VIP up-level entrepreneur program. I'll share a little bit more about that in a little bit, but that is my quick elevator spiel. All right. Like, I learned how to build systems, to do operations, to use project management when the stakes were the highest and when there were millions of dollars on the line. All right. And a lot of those tips that I took from those scenarios, I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. All right. So let's jump into this. Let's talk about project management in general, right? So usually people come to me and say, "Oh, how do you pick your project management software?" Or "What's the best project management software?" Or "What do you use?" And I'll just use that too. And these are questions that I get all the time. And I'm fairly certain that you are viewing this presentation because you have the same question. And that's what made you want to watch and tune into today's training event. Well, how do you actually pick a software that can set you up with certainty, with security, with focus in your business? I don't want to shock you, but I'm going to tell you that picking the software is only about 10% of the actual work and the actual process that you have to go through to actually set up and pick your project management tool. A lot of the work to select, evaluate, and set up a project management tool happens far before you even get to the stage of evaluating what tools are out there, or what the best tools are, or Googling and reviewing features. A lot of the work to pick your actual tool that will work for you, that you'll be able to use with ease, that will be easily integrated into your business and leverageable, really starts way before you even start looking at features, right? And when I am doing this with my clients, they're actually really surprised. They're like, "Oh, we're starting here. Like, this is kind of a weird and boring place for us to start." So, if not starting with the software, where do you actually start? Well, the starting line is right here. The starting line for selecting your project management software is here. It's in this question. How is your business organized right now? Where are you keeping all of your information? Where are you keeping all of your data? This is the first question that I ask my clients when I'm selecting a project management tool for them, or I'm going to set up a project management tool for them. And they're always a little bit surprised with the question because they think, well, hey, A, that is not the question that I wanted answered. And B, well, I thought that you were just going to pick the tool and build the thing. So what does it really matter? Where I'm keeping all my information or how I'm moving it around? Why does any of that matter? Well, the problem is that before you can even start to evaluate tools, you have to understand where all of your data is, right? Where is all of your work? Where are all of your notes? Where's all of your client information? Where are you keeping all of this stuff? And how are you working through it now? When you're working with a client and you're taking them from A to Z, how that process, right? Because whether you believe it or not, whether it is clearly defined or not, you do have a process. You do have organizational patterns that you naturally gravitate towards, things that you prefer. You prefer to see information in certain ways. You prefer to organize information in certain ways. You want to move it around, in certain ways, and that is your process. Without knowing the answers to how you're moving the information around or even where all the information is gathered, it's really hard to be able to evaluate the various features of the project management tool, right? There's a million softwares out there. And how will you even be able to differentiate their features or whether they apply to you if you have no idea what your process and what your preference is, or where all of your data is housed to make sure that they are compatible. All right. So at this point, you might be thinking, all right, this is not what I came here for. I just want you to give me the top three options and be off to the races. But how many times have you actually signed up for a free software trial because everyone was talking about it? Or how many times have you actually paid for software because all of your friends, all of your competitors, all of your mentors or your coaches said that they use X, Y, and Z software or product within their company, and you paid for it, or you signed up for the trial and then you never used it, right? I know I've done that. And I know plenty of other people have done that before as well. Just about every business owner has done it with some form of software. You've signed up for the trial and you've just kind of moved on. Like, you didn't know how it was going to work. You didn't know how it was going to work for you, and you just moved on. And if you were lucky, you remembered to cancel the subscription, and if you weren't, you let it ride for a couple of years before you realize that it's been on auto charge, right? So I know that I've certainly been there before, and the reason why I start at this place is because I am very process first focused, but also if you don't know how you want to use it, or how you or what resources or what things within your business are going to flow into your tool, then you're never going to use it, right? It's never going to gain adoption. It's never going to feel natural or easy for you to use. It's never going to be something that you're all right, like, oh, okay, this is where I now do work. And this is the problem that I want you to steer clear of, right? You can pick any tool, but if you're not clear on where all your information is and the tools that that it needs to integrate to, and how you're moving work through, um, that tool, or whatever process that tool is supposed to support, it's a shot in the dark whether it will work. And this applies to all software, right? It's not just project management, it's not just CRMs, it's not just business management tools. This applies to all software that you are evaluating. If you are not clear on where all of your data is and how you want to use this tool or this software and how it's supposed to support what you're doing, what your process is, then you are not ready to start evaluating. And if you leave and click out of this presentation and you get nothing else from this other than the fact that you need to know what your process is, even at a basic level, in order to select a tool that can support that process, then you are getting something really valuable, because this tip in and of itself is going to save you a lot of money in the long run by keeping you from investing in things that you're never ever going to use. All right. So if you get nothing else from this, just take that. If you do not know what your process is, that these tools, whether it's project management, whether it's something else, are supposed to support, then you are not ready to start evaluating. And that's another thing that I the tools, project management tools, are there to support your overall process. It doesn't take over the process. It doesn't replace it. It doesn't become the process. It's there to support what you're doing. It's a tool, right? Your project management tool, your project management software is just one of the tools that supports your business. It does not replace how you do work, right? It supports how you do work. And that's why it's really important for you to focus in on how you're organizing work right now. How are you doing work right now, so that you can really move into the evaluation phase with ease. And honestly, I see it all the time with my clients who do all the right things on paper, right? They hired their coach, they invested in the tools, they hired out the team, they tried to delegate, but in the end, they hated the project management softwares that they use. They never ended up using it. And then it became really easy for them to go back to their old ways, using post-it notes, writing it in their notebooks, relying on email to really keep them organized, right? So this step is really crucial in you understanding what your process is, so that you can evaluate the right tools. All right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into what I mean by the starting line. So step one in setting up your project management tool is to take stock of your workflow. Take stock of where you're at. Do a quick mental survey of your business. Even if you don't think that you have a workflow, you do. I can guarantee that you do. So to really illustrate this and to help you kind of think through what is your actual process, let's talk about what you should be kind of focused on, right? So think about your day as you're just getting started to work, right? You're just sitting down, you're firing up your computer, you're getting started working. Where is all of your information? Where is all of your data? For how are you keeping all of the information that you're working on? What tools are you using to keep them right now? Is it post-it notes? Is it email? Is it a Google document? Is it an Excel spreadsheet? Where is all this information and how is it being housed? And then think about, how are you moving it around as you're doing work? How are you moving these pieces of information as you're working through them? Like, for example, if you are trying to keep track of your clients, and you're writing everything down in your notebook, how do you know what happens to the client? How do you know when they're at the end of their program? How do you know they're at the beginning of their program? How do you know that, they hit a certain milestone that, in their program, that calls for another step? Or how do you know how to onboard them? How do you keep track of all of that information in your notebook? Are you, putting a little star next to your name? Are you writing their name down on a certain sheet of paper within your notebook? Are you highlighting their name when they're rolling out of their program? Right? So these are all things that I want you to start thinking about when you're taking stock of your workflow, because this will help you identify what your actual workflow is. All right. So again, I'll say it again, because whether you believe it or not, whether it is clearly defined or not, you 100% do have a process that you work through when you're doing work in your business. All right. And that process is going to be supported by your project management tool. And that's why it's really important to identify the process early on, because it will help you evaluate and build the tool when we get to those steps. All right. So, as you're kind of taking stock, I also want to have you think. I also want you to think about what feels frustrating, right? So, if there's anything that you're working on, or as you're kind of like thinking about your workflow, you're like, oh, that feels so annoying, or I hate it when I have to do that step in the process, or I'm always digging around forever trying to find those templates in my email, or I can never find anything in my Dropbox. Write those things down, right? Write down what feels uncomfortable, what feels frustrating, what feels overwhelming, and why. Why does it feel that way? Because that's important data as well. That it's a very important indicator to what you like and what you don't like, and what you might need to clean up, right? Or what does your tool need to be able to do, so that it's not causing these frustration points. All right. Also, another thing to take note of is like, when do you feel really good? Right? When do you feel super productive? When do you feel like you're in the zone? When do you feel like you are doing all the things and you're just at the top of your game? All right. When do you feel like you're doing that? And take note of those moments. Take note of why. What are you doing in this moment? What was happening? What were you working on? How were you working on it that made you feel so productive, so aligned, so powerful, so ready to just crush it, move on, and do the next thing? Right. This is also important data on the things that you like, around how you like to see the organization. How do you like to see tasks? How do you like to receive information that will be important, again, in the evaluation and setup of your project management tool? I hope you're seeing a pattern here, right? A lot of the information that you're going to use in evaluating your tools, your project management tool, and setting it up are going to be done here. And it's all based on your process. So do not skip this step. This is an important step in really selecting and being able to whittle down the information that you have, that you have around identifying what your process is, so that you can pick a tool that's going to support that process, and not have to like change your process altogether to fit the workflow tool. Because that's the reason why softwares don't gain traction, why you never sign in again, because it doesn't fit the way that you do work, right? Like you're like, oh, this isn't fit the way that I like to see things. It doesn't fit the way that like I'm moving through my process, so I'm not going to use it. And that's when you see a lot of going back into, oh, well, I'm just going to use my notebook because it's easier. That's what I see with a lot of my clients, right? Who've picked a number of tools and have just been like, I don't really like seeing this. I don't really, this is not aligned with how I do work. It's just so much easier to go back to like my notebooks and my sticky notes, right? And that's when you don't gain any traction with your tool. You don't gain any adoption. And if you have team members, right, you'll see at that point, if you're not using the tool as the business owner, as the CEO, no one else in your team is going to use it either. All right. So the adoption really needs to start with you in order for it to really spread out and become the hub of your business. All right. So now that you have this information and you have a basic idea of like what you like to see, how you organize data, how you're moving it around right now, and you understand like, okay, so these are the things that I like, these are the things that I really don't like. So I need tools that can support this process and these likes and these dislikes. So now you're actually ready to move into the evaluation process, right? So step 2 is evaluate your options. You can start by looking at the various options out there, getting your referrals. But the one reason I ask you to start with taking stock at the beginning is to make this process easier, right? Because everyone is going to have a referral. Everyone is going to have a tool that they love, or they're going to have something that really works for them. But there's no guarantee that it will work for you unless you actually know what features are really important to you. And the only way to know that is to understand your process and to understand the things that you like and the things that you dislike and how you're keeping data, i.e., all of the things that you were supposed to outline in step one. All right. So if you have no idea how you like to do work, you have no idea how you like to do work, you have no idea where your data is, then every tool is going to be the perfect tool, because no project management software company or website is going to say, hey, we do a really crappy job of X, Y, and Z. You have to specifically be looking for those things and evaluating those features from the way that you would be using it. All right. So an example of this is, like, I have a client who I was setting up her project management tool for her, and she'd already purchased a pretty expensive software for her project management team, but she hated it. She hated using it. She never used it. No one on her team used it. And she actually just went back to using her notebook and her email to really manage her business as it was going along. And as she grew and grew and grew, it became a lot harder to manage an email. So when we started working together, I really dove into how she was doing work and where all the information was. And I really pressed her on this. And what I found was, one, she is very visual, right? She likes a very, very visual layout and wants to see progression, right? From one place to another, that the task is physically moving, right? She wants to see that progression. Number two, she hates typing, hates typing. So that's a big reason why her project management software never caught on, was because she hated having to type in her own tasks. I found that she lived her entire life with Siri and voice memos as her primary source of communication. And then number three, I found that she did not like seeing bulky lists or lots of information, really dense text. She hated looking at line items. So that felt overwhelming and stressful for her, where she just wanted to close it off and put it away. All right. Knowing all of this, Notion, with its super clean views and its Mac interface that was native to her and the way that she was doing work, was a no brainer, because for the very fact that it was one of the very, very few tools that allows native voice to text setup in the tool. It allows you to leave voice memos, to enter tasks, to enter updates via voice to text, and it's natively installed. You don't need another integration to use it, right? So that was a no-brainer and was the perfect tool for her. And honestly, that gained traction. We were able to set her and her team of 4 people up on this really fast, right? And it became really the hub of their business, and it became a lot easier when they were using a tool that was designed for the way that they were all doing work, right? It was designed for how she liked to do work. And therefore, it was really easy to keep her team aligned and get them on board with using this tool, right? So when you're evaluating your tool, start looking back at the list of things that you outlined as didn't feel really good, or you really, really enjoyed when you were really productive when you were in step one. Take a look at those things and look back at your overall workflow. And ask yourself, how do you like to see your information? Do you like to see information in a particular way? Do you like to enter information in a particular way? Are there any tools that you already use and love and refuse to change, right? So if these is all the information that you need to evaluate the features that you really need in a project management software. I guarantee you, going through this process will narrow down your search to ensure that you're only reviewing the tools that you're actually going to use and that are aligned with the way that you do work in your business. All right. Finally, it's all downhill from here, right? It's the actual setup of your tool, right? So, surprise, surprise, I'm going to ask you to go back to your workflow overview, because that's going to help you with the setup of your project management tool when you first use it. All right. All of those process steps that you outline, like how you're moving the tools around, those are all of your statuses right there, all done in one neat place. But instead of diving into, here's how you set things up for Asana, and here's like, how you should set up your boards and your lists and your sections, I want to talk to you a little bit more about how project management systems are set up in terms of their hierarchy, because every single project management tool out there, it doesn't matter whether it's Asana, whether it's Basecamp, whether it's ClickUp, whether it's Trello, whether it is Monday, they all have a hierarchy. And if you can understand the hierarchy and how it applies to you, then you can set up any project management tool out there, right? You can pick the one that feels the best for you from the evaluation phase, and you'll be prepared to set it up in an expert fashion once you understand the overall hierarchy of how project management systems are really built, right? And to illustrate this, I want you to think about a filing cabinet. Think about those metal filing cabinets that you see in offices or, libraries. They're big, they're metal. You pull out the drawers and there's drawers and drawers that have files in them. All right. So your project management system is the actual filing cabinet, right? It is the overall structure for the drawers where you organize different functions or departments, where you're grouping projects together through those drawers. So the overall system is the filing folder, and you can have as many drawers as you want. And these drawers are all related to groups of projects. All right. So groups of tasks. Like if you have ever worked in an office, or if your parents have a old filing cabinet, or you've seen them at the library, or any other kind of officey type building, usually they're grouped together by year, date, function, something. So when you think about your business and the drawers that you're going to have in your business, what are the groupings of tasks that go together, right? So this can be by function of your business, this can be by department, but this is where you're really grouping together projects. All right. So, for example, I have a client who is a designer. So, one of her drawers is design, related to all things design within her business. She also had drawers for finance, a drawer for teams, drawers for merchandising, things along those lines. But they're all different drawers, and you can have as many drawers as you want. That's the magic of project management software, is you can have as many groupings of tasks and projects as you want, as many drawers in the filing cabinet as you want. All right. So, but remember, the drawers of your filing cabinet are there to group together the projects that you're working, the extended stuff, the bigger, more complex tasks. All right. So I'm going to take the idea of the filing cabinet a little further. All right. So say you've named your drawers and you're going to open the drawer. Inside of the drawer, what's in there? Usually it's file folders, right? There's a bunch of hanging file folders in there. The files within your folders are groups of tasks. All right. So these are groups of tasks that are similar that end up underneath the drawer umbrella. For example, my client who had their design drawer, right? So they had file folders, they had sections for designs for spring, designs for summer, designs for fall, designs for winter, etc. Right? So you might have a section for finances, which is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, or you might have one for teams, and each team member has a file folder, right, within that section of your project management tool. This is really where you're going to group together projects and tasks within that department, within that section, within that function, within that drawer in your overall filing cabinet. All right. So now we've kind of looked at the bigger picture. We have the overall system, the overall filing cabinet is your project management system. We have your drawers, which relate to the way that you're grouping work together and possibly relate to the functions or departments within your business. Now let's talk about what actually goes into the filing folders, right? Like, so you open up the drawer, you open up the file, and inside the file, there's different pieces of paper. These pieces of paper are actually tasks, right? So each document within a file is a task. The way that you're grouping together tasks are in files, right? So this is another granular view of the work that is grouped together within the folder. So to illustrate this, like back to my client who had the design business. So her primary drawer was design. One of her folders was for fall 2020 design. And then one of the tasks in there was related to accessories one, accessory two, accessory three. Each accessory had its own piece of paper, if you will, within that file folder. And this is where you break down all the granular details about the task and the work that is happening. All right. So this really narrows down the way that you're viewing your work. So you go from big to little at every single stage. And this is how every single project management tool is set up, right? So you have your big filing cabinet, you have the drawer, you have the hanging files, and then you have the separate pieces of paper inside that are more granular detail tasks. All right. So that is how every single project management tool is set up. It has that same hierarchy. It goes from big and broad to really, really narrow and small. And that's how you should be organizing all of your work. At the end of the day, you can pick any tool that really resonates with you. Knowing this setup, knowing that you're going to first select your drawers, then you're going to label your folders, and then you're going to drop in your tasks. That is how you're going to set up your project management tool to really work for you. And it applies to every single project management tool out there. There are no exceptions. All right. So that is how you're going to set up a project management tool that's going to support you and your business over the long run. It starts first with understanding your process, identifying your workflow. How are you doing work and where are you keeping data now? And using that information to whittle down your options and evaluate your options and features to setting up your project management tool, understanding the hierarchy and setting it up in alignment with the process that you outlined in step one. That is how you set up a project management system like an expert, like a boss. And that is the framework that I use with all of my clients. All right. So with that, I do want to offer you guys a resource, right? So if you don't have the time, the bandwidth, or the experience to develop your actual project management tool and the systems to support it, and you want an expert to build it out for you, you want an expert to build out the resources, you want an expert to build out the tool and the systems and everything for you, then you might be a good fit for my up-level entrepreneur service. I'm going to drop my call link into the chat box, and it's also available right here, dianelamco.as.me/level up. Schedule a level up assessment call with me, and we can talk exactly about how to level up your business, work less, and scale faster than ever before. All right. So this is for you if you want something different in your business and you want real freedom. If you want to have all of your tools set up for you, if you want to work less while making more money, you want your team to do all of the heavy lifting for you, and if you want the freedom to really branch out, follow your passions, live however you want to live by your live by your own rules, then this is the program for you. All right. This is the service for you. So my call link is in the calendar. And, if you don't want to waste another week, another month, another year trying to figure it out, trying to build all the things yourself, then I invite you to schedule a level up assessment call with me. And we can talk about how we can level up your business so you can really live by your own rules. All right. So until next time, this is Diane, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye.